the first time in a long time, emotions got the better of me.
Yeah.
And I felt like I wanted to go and eat the world.
Disclaimer. So today, we're going to speak to you, not as your business partners, not as your colleagues, not as whatever we are with you.
I know you can't talk too much about it under NDA, but I would say it was a bitter ending. I don't think they treated you right. Would you say you've got something to prove to the people that stuck a few knives in your back?
I don't know if people stuck a few
Well,
knives in
I'm
my
saying
back.
they did.
Okay.
So I'm not under NDA.
Oof.
Okay.
Whoa.
Oh,
Wow.
How did
Guns
you get
blazing.
here? But I think you've been single for a long time, or you've had
Most of my life.
Haven't had a serious relationship, really.
Yeah.
Do you feel that at times, and maybe even now, you're lonely?
Welcome to episode 7 of the Three Intrapreneur podcast. Today is a very special podcast because we are interviewing our first guest. And today, it is none other than Mr. Super Prime himself, Daniel Daggers.
Here he is.
Welcome.
The man.
Welcome to the Three Intrapreneur
Welcome.
podcast. And thank you for your time. So just before we get to things, the fee. Do not forget to pay the fee. We don't run ads. We don't make any money from this podcast. In fact, we lose money. So if you gained anything, if you found it funny, if you learned anything, which I'm sure you will today, please pay it forward. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, rate it 5 stars. Now, one more thing before we get started. Disclaimer. So today, we're going to speak to you, not as your business partners, not as your colleagues, not as whatever we are with you, but as podcast hosts. Is that right?
Yeah,
Is that
I think
what
that's
we are?
right. Yeah.
So, always nervous. He's drinking water.
So
Take a big
He's
gulp.
getting ready.
Okay, over to Benji. Please take it away.
So without further ado, there will be a lot of people that are listening that know your story and know your background. There will be people that don't. I will give a bit of information about yourself because if you do it, the podcast will be finished by the time you stop talking. So,
I mean, I might go through this podcast without saying anything.
Yeah. I was going to say,
That's definitely not gonna happen.
yet.
That's definitely not going to happen.
So
So
this is like your
I've got some notes. I don't know why because I know it all anyway. But so those who don't know, Daniel grew up in social housing, was a single child to Israeli Yemenite mother with an English father, and tried to make it as a professional footballer. Excuse the pun, his dreams were shattered when he broke his collarbone and then stumbled across Vickers in Maida Vale, moved over to Knight Frank in the St John's Wood office and then went to the private office and essentially was running the show there, was the number 1 agent at the business in London, potentially globally. So that's a bit of background about Daniel. Daniel, first question. Why did Knight Frank fire you?
They didn't fire me. And I can't talk about it. And one day I'll be able to. You'll just have to buy the book.
Let's buy the book. Tell us more. Tell us a little bit about how it ended at Knight Frank.
I can't because you guys have to, should appreciate knowing what we do for a living, right? That when very successful people approach us and say, hey, can you please act for us? Sometimes they ask you to sign NDAs, right? Because they don't want you to disclose everything. It's not they don't trust you. They just want some protection. I left my previous business with an NDA, so I can't talk about it. It'd be foolish for me to do that. And also, I don't think it's my story to tell yet. All right? And so maybe I'll come back on the show when you're on your 1400th episode, and I'll come in and go, okay, guys, I'm ready to
To share the story.
To share the story, yeah.
So if what had happened hadn't have happened, would you still be at Knight Frank now?
Maybe, maybe not. I had a different vision to that business. I loved that business. I still care for that business, but I felt that the industry was moving a different way. And fast forwarding 3.5 to 4 years, we can see how the industry is moving, right? You guys are here, you're accompanying me on the journey, and things are changing. And a lot of people have left these big organizations and are leaving and doing their own independent thing on platform businesses, and that is the route that I felt our industry was going to go. And so I wanted to prepare the business for that change, right? But so would I still be there? It's hard to say. Maybe not. And
when you left, did you envisage starting your own company straight away, or did you?
I didn't have a choice.
But I mean, of course, there's other agencies out there. I'm sure there was lots of suitors for Mr. Daniel Daggers. Like, How did that thought process?
You must have had a
I-
choice.
How did that happen?
No, I mean, like, I think that. How do I put this? It's really hard to explain. I think that the view the industry had of me was that I was an entrepreneur, right? That I was a guy who was doing things slightly differently. I was clearly successful at what I was doing, and I had a route, and I had a way, and I had a desire to do it that way. And I think some companies probably didn't want the risk. Some companies might have felt that I was too expensive. Also, I could have probably affected company culture, which big organizations might not have wanted, especially if they weren't brokerages. It's funny, at the time, one of the head guys of Foxtons, who I'd never met before, was the first person to reach out to me and say, hey, I'd love to have a coffee with you. He's no longer at Foxtons, but we're still friends.
Yeah.
And he's a super nice guy. But I thought that was very an interesting move by him. Because big corporate agency business, not brokerage. And I thought, well, he's quite entrepreneurial, just simply by reaching out.
Yeah.
So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
What about just one more? The emotions that you felt when you left,
Yeah.
like when that all happened or whatever happens, how did you really feel? Like behind closed doors when you're on your own?
Felt terrible. I felt terrible. And you go through like when you leave a business, whether you choose or get asked to or you get pushed, either way, it's like a breakup, right? And I get a lot of people from big businesses reaching out to me, say, listen, I'm about to leave. What should I do? Exactly. I've got someone call me this evening for some advice. And the truth is that it's like having a breakup. I spent 12 years in my previous business. It was like my partner. And that's all you know. You know, these big businesses are really good at sort of keeping you blinkered and within their environment, and they do a great job at it, which is why their retention was very, very good. And when you leave, or when you've had a breakup, so anyone can recognize this, when you have a breakup, except Benji, he's only had one girlfriend, who he's engaged to now, and she's lovely. But
Debatable.
when you have, whether or not she's lovely.
Yeah.
It's not nice.
Subjective.
Oh,
I'm
Jesus.
joking, Talia.
She doesn't watch the podcast. She finds you too boring.
She does watch
I think this
podcasts.
podcast will
And
be
she
too
follows
boring. It's a
me.
serious podcast.
We can
So-
change that, Talia.
When you have,
Jesus.
oh my God, when
Does the buttons.
when you break up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your partner, you go through every emotion under the sun.
Yeah.
You get super upset, then you get very angry, then you have probably an element of remorse, and then you move on.
Yeah.
I think you go through the same thing when you leave a business.
And so on that, we've all, in a previous podcast, one of the first episodes, we all spoke about our lowest points. You know, when you're saying with your kids, you know, you're lying in bed thinking, where's my next deal going to come from? I've lost deals, you know, things that you mentioned where we've had our lowest points. I think when you left Night Frank, it was very well publicized. There was a lot of negative media out there. Would you say that was your lowest point, or is there perhaps another period in your life that you've gone through hardship?
Yeah, I mean, like everyone's lives, we've all gone through difficult times. Everyone's got a story to tell. I've had plenty of difficult moments in my life, and it's just how you handle them.
Daniel, that actually brings me on to my question. Which I've
Working
actually
with you.
been...
Working with you.
Yeah.
It's been a bloody nightmare.
yeah. Kind of, yeah. It does bring me on to my next point, and what you just said kind of ties into this too. Like, it's something I've been wanting to ask you for a long time.
Yeah.
I've known you now for about 4 years, worked with you for about 3.5, and I want you to be really honest, okay? And I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but
I think I know what he's going to say.
something has happened to you, like in your life, for you to be the way you were.
Wait,
The way you are,
sorry.
the way you are. Like, I'll explain that because there's obviously going to be listeners who have no idea what I'm talking about right now, probably even Benji and Ollie. However, you pushed me, in the moment I probably hated you for it, but you pushed me to tears at some times, as you will remember. You've pushed me to my absolute limits, but then also broken me through what I thought was my limit. So as my boxing trainer, I've been crying, kicking pads up for training up for a fight. And only you and him have really pushed me in a positive way to the point of tears, but for the best. You've obviously got very high standards for yourself to do that for other people, let alone yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and for people working within your business. So something has happened to you What happened to you? Like, there must be some sort of like childhood trauma or experience, or there's something that happened, or there's an ex-girlfriend who dumped you that you want to prove wrong.
No, it's about life. It's life.
Life.
I've just lived more years than you guys.
That's it.
And that is, you know, it's hard for people to appreciate that, right? Because when people say, oh, your parents know more than you. Well, listen to mum, listen to dad, listen to your older brother, and you're like, yeah, whatever, you don't know anything. The truth is that they have a lot of experience in life, even though now it's slightly different because we're going through a world of total evolution really quickly, and things are changing, and the digital landscape is equally as important as the physical landscape, and so on and so on. But I really think that life is a game, and it's how well you play it. And in my life, I've had like loads of difficult circumstances, right? Like when you're the only kid who goes to a local youth club and you're the only Jewish boy, you get beaten up every week. Then you have to learn how to fight. And I wasn't a good fighter, but I wouldn't stay down. I knew that if I was the easy pick and I would stay down, I'd be picked on every day. But after a little while, if I kept getting up, they might be nervous that I'll land a punch. And so after a little while, they sort of let you go. You realize that's what life's about. You know, people are going to take liberties with you unless you're strong and you hold your ground. And then the same thing, like I've had a life full of failure. You wouldn't see that. You see success. That's what people want to see. They see success. You don't see failure. I mean, I document how hard I work. But you don't see, I want to be a professional football. All my friends ribbed me, thought I was useless, wasn't good enough, didn't make it, broke my collarbone. That's an excuse. I wasn't good enough. I had to understand that and respect it and own it. Then at school, I was rubbish at school. You know, I was told that I was stupid. So I had bad grades. So that was a failure. I was poor at chatting girls up. I didn't have the confidence. That means that I was a failure. Society would tell you that you're a failure. You're just slow at proving yourself. You're just slow at learning, right? You don't want to take the plunge.
So would you say that that's what drives you, a combination of all these things? Because the reason I asked is because you are one of the hardest workers that I know.
One of?
Maybe the 10th hardest. He hates that. He hates that. You know, when I first met Daniel, he said to me, do you think you work harder than me? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
in
100%.
Firehouse?
And what did you say?
I said, yeah, I do.
And then after about 2 months, what happened?
Yeah, I
You
admitted
realised
that
what
you're a
hard
harder
work
worker.
Alex was like,
This is hard work. Oh my God.
oh, wow.
Wait, 5 p.m. Are we not?
Well, that was a really hard day.
Wait,
I'll
hold
see you
on.
tomorrow.
Alex was exhausted by 9:45 in the morning.
No, it's an ongoing joke. But like, would you say that you're obviously a very hard worker? You are always available. You always answer our phone calls, even if it's like midnight.
Yep.
When we work on big deals, even small deals, you know, you're always available. You're always on top of people. Would you say that all those things that you just said, probably all those things I think were from your childhood, being the only Jewish boy?
Yeah, most of your life is framed by your childhood.
Okay.
Well, I really believe that. I think
Yeah.
your childhood teaches you so much. And then you have to choose to learn from every circumstances that you end up being in. So my belief, and I've said this to you guys before, is that people's expectation levels, you don't expect anything from anyone else, but it's okay to have some levels of expectation of yourself. And I think that people are very happy with this. I've done this with you guys before. People, because all you guys works with groups of people that work till 6 o'clock and then shut off, but they want loads of success and the Rolls Royce and the Beamer and the this and the that and the private jets. They all want this, but they clock off at 6, and then at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday they're in the pub. And you all want loads of success, but you haven't seen what it takes because you haven't had that mentor, that person who's been there and done it. And then all of a sudden that mentor goes, oh, okay, so you want to do this much work, but you want this much success. Well, there's a mismatch there. So how do you bridge that gap? Well, it's effort. It's learning. It's being inquisitive and learning from everyone that you ever come across. And I feel that people are prepared to do this, but they're capable of doing this. And that's why I'm tough.
And so just backtracking a tiny bit to saying how
But
you
I think I'm tough and fair, by the way.
Yeah, of course. As Alex said, you know, one of the few people that, you know, you can break someone down, but for their best interest and to make them a better person. I think we all know that when you're tough on us, it's because it's for the best for us.
100%.
It's very fair. We know that.
And for you, because if you get the best out of us, you get the best
Well, that's
out
my
of the
job.
business.
Yeah.
My job obviously is to do business, but the way the business is set up is that the better the more effort and help I give you guys, the better you guys will be. That's a compounding value increase for me.
Yeah.
Right. From a selfish point of view, but you guys will earn more and be more successful, and hopefully you're in it for the long run, and we're going to build together.
So it kind of leads me on to one of two questions, but I'll start with the second question. So you're one of the very few people that I know will give, whether that's in any sense, you'll give, but you will not expect back.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's no point.
Because we've all dealt with so many people in, let's say corporate companies where you think you might have a manager who gives you advice, but we all know it's only going to benefit them. I genuinely feel that you don't expect back.
It's not really about that. It's more about, I've found out in my life that doing good by people helps you, right? And so why don't I just have that attitude consistently? Why don't I do that? Because the world's becoming a smaller place. So the more people you can have a positive impact on, the more likely you are to get a positive impact on yourself from other people, because there's more of them that will know that you are a positive person in an industry that's really tricky and shark-infested waters, but you're the person who's going to give the right advice. You're going to say it how it is. You're going to do good by people.
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely valuable. And I felt that over my career.
So on the surface of it, you're helping that person, but deep down you are also helping yourself.
Well, with zero expectation. I didn't give you help going, yeah, but you're going to pay me back in 5 years or 3 years. Or when I set up my business, you have to come and work with me. I didn't say that. Didn't say that to anybody. But if I do a lot of good for people and I add value to people's lives, I think people want a lot more of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like what I say, the best line people appreciate is, I'll handle it, don't worry. Makes people feel very comfortable.
And so, as I was saying before, backtracking a little bit, going back to your childhood, and you saying that you feel that you're a product of your upbringing, and you wanting to take responsibility to help other people.
Yeah.
Do you think being an only child had any role in that?
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm constantly in competition myself, because I didn't have a brother to have or sister to have competition with. So I'm always in competition with myself. So that's one thing. That's why I'm eternally driven, because I don't benchmark against other people. I just learn from them. So if someone does a 50, 100 million pound deal, or have done multiple deals, I go, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what they're doing that is making them successful. I don't go, oh, I need to beat you. Right. So if I go to that person and I get a lot of value out of them and I understand it myself, I think I can implement very well. So being an only child has benefited me that way. It was tough though growing up, because when you're a kid, my dad used to call me action man, because all I wanted to do was go and kick the ball about. I mean, I could climb the ceiling if I, when I had so much energy. The weakness it made me is that when I want to speak to somebody, I want them now. So you guys know, when I call you or when I text you, I want a response immediately. And that's partially because of the way I was brought up. My mum was always there for me. And my dad used to come home. I was so thankful for the way my parents raised me. But my dad used to come home and he would take me to the park or to the green opposite the flat we lived in, and we would go and play football. He'd kick the ball up in the air and I'd go and run around and control it. And
Fetch. You play fetch.
Like fetch.
So that kind of leads me on. So
what a wanker.
having obviously followed...
It was a form of fetch, right? It's a bit like now when I ask you to do something.
Having obviously followed you on social handles for many years, before I met you, I've never seen any relationships that you've had on social media. Any partners or taking anyone out on dates or introducing us to your following on social media. And I suppose it kind of goes into what you were just saying about your upbringing. Do you feel that at times, and maybe even now, you're lonely?
I think there are moments in my life, I'm used to being on my own. Like my parents moved abroad when I was 25, and I was quite content with that because my parents are now 83 and 80. So what's that? 18 years ago, give or take, they moved abroad. They moved to Israel, and I thought it was a good thing for them. I was trying to be selfless in my view, right? Where weather's good, food is good, family's there. It's a good move for them. So I would come home and I would sit at home alone if I wasn't dating somebody at the time, and I'd be alone with my thoughts, which has made me very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've gone through really dark moments when you're at home by yourself and you doubt yourself and you're not happy about something and someone's upset you and you're going through a breakup and you're alone. You know, there's only a certain amount of TV you can watch, right? Yeah. So, like, I'm not often lonely. I can sit on the couch all weekend and be very, very comfortable right, and content. But to your first point, I don't show my whole life on social channels. I think that would be too much for me. And so I need to create boundaries. Yeah. And I think everyone should consider that. Yeah. People don't want to be on my socials. They won't be on my socials. If I don't want people on my socials, they won't be on my socials. So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
And so talking about social media, which, you know, I think you started in central London in terms
me
of...
and Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that Tom from MySpace?
I call him MZ actually.
in terms of, you know, walking around with your, you know, putting your face on camera.
Yeah. Petrifying.
Yeah. And I know the story when you did it when you were in New York, you know, 80 floors high in the sky, and you had 2,000 people and thought, wow, this is amazing. And I think everyone in central London in the real estate game has followed you, which I think...
You thought I was bonkers.
Thought you were bonkers, but everyone is now doing it. So you must be immensely proud of that. If someone were to offer you £10 million to never post on social media again, would you take it?
Great question. No.
Why?
Expand.
Why? Because... for you to sell anything in today's world, whether it's a service or a product, you need to be able to speak to customers and clients and future clients and communities, right? Who will champion you and your services. Well, how do you do that without social channels?
It's just like KSI and the drink Prime.
Yeah,
It's
like anything, Alex. It's like anything.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
you need an audience.
They've got influence.
Look, I'm speaking to a lot of like VCs, tech guys, and you can build the best product under the sun, but if people don't know about it,
doesn't exist basically,
they won't buy it. And so there's an element of awareness. Now previously, for you to set up your business, you often had to go to a man who owned an office because he was wealthy or influential, and so he often came from a very similar background to a lot of people, and they had an office, and then you had to abide by the office owner, and you had to work there and sit by a desk and hope that people walked into the office. And nowadays you don't need to do that because the customer is online.
And so you think that
so the question you asked me, by the way, is do I think I can generate more than £10 million through social channels during my lifetime? Absolutely, yeah.
Not necessarily though, because the £10 million
but I don't look at it that way,
more than
right?
you could make from having a social following.
It wasn't terms and conditions. It was just a basic. It was just a basic. And so if you think, how far do you think you wouldn't take £10 million right now?
I don't look at my social following as like a form of wealth. I look at it as my community, and they support me through stuff. Yeah, there's some people there that don't like me and just want to laugh at me. Find any reason to laugh at me. Okay, no problem, right? But that's my community of people. That's people that I've spent the past 8 years with communicating. And I feel honored for the fact that they want to see what I'm doing with my life and how I'm building my business and supporting you guys and doing stuff like that. That's an honor.
Yeah.
We skipped a question. So I just want to bring it back to your home life, which I think a lot of people don't hear much about because you don't share everything on social media, which is completely fair.
Yeah.
However, we know you've just met someone who is lovely. I even said, don't let her go. Do you think that will affect your career?
So I'm not going to talk about my private life. I did warn you guys that I wouldn't talk about my private life. Oh, no, I'm not.
And that's the end of the podcast.
I tell you something that I think is really important. Yeah. Okay, whether or not it's a girlfriend, a wife, a boyfriend, a husband, whatever it may be. Anyone who you really care about and really cares about you is someone that you need to cherish in your life. Because in my experience, life can slap you when you least expect it. Okay, you might be flying high and all of a sudden there's a massive change. Could be health, could be business, could be anything. And you will need the support. You'll want the support, you'll need the support, but more importantly, you want to be there to be someone else's support. That's one thing that I love. I absolutely love the fact that when there is a problem, people call me. I love it. I love being of service of people. I really do get off on the fact that when shit hits the fan, people trust me with decisions, or support. And I think that's anybody in your life. You know, you'll have groups of people that you want to go out and party with. You have groups of people that you want to have dinner parties with. There'll be groups of people that you want to have a one-on-one coffee with. There'll be groups of people you want to go to play golf with. And there'll be groups of people that you will cherish every moment with, who will support you through thick and thin.
Look, can I just touch upon that one more time? Because this is something that...
He's really digging out, aren't you?
No, because this... Do you know what? I a lot of my motivation and drive came from one of my first ever girlfriends, who caused me a lot of heartache. She broke my heart, and that caused my whole career to kick off, because I wanted to
Prove her wrong.
Yeah, prove her wrong.
Yeah.
And I actually spoke to her recently. Harry doesn't listen to this, so it's okay. I spoke to her recently, and we spoke about this. And I think a lot of people, like I did at one point in my life, think that a relationship can affect your career. I know that because I know we don't speak a lot about your personal life. When we do speak, it's usually about business and deals that we're doing, etc. But I think you've been single for a long time, or you've had
most of my life.
Haven't had a serious relationship really. Yeah. So do you think that's had an impact positively on your career?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, because I've just had more time to think about work.
Yeah.
That's it. And so some people might look at it as a sacrifice.
Yep.
Just depends, doesn't it?
Quite a few girlfriends though.
A couple.
Can I tell a funny story?
No, don't tell any story.
And so I think it's fair to say
stories are not meant to be shared.
I think it's fair to say, as you just touched on yourself, there's a lot of people that that can call you, and you'll be there. And I know, I'm one of those people that if I've got a problem, I know I can call you and you'll be there. And I think there's a lot of people that you have helped, in your career, business-wise, friendship-wise, that you've had an impact on their lives. This is a pretty deep question, but and something, that none of us want to ever think about. But what do you think your funeral will look like?
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Christ.
What do I think my funeral will look like?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Considering the amount of lives you've touched, not just on a surface level, but on a deeper, that you have been there for
I don't really
people.
know. I think that what I would love to happen is when I'm gone, I would love to play in a football team in heaven, and I would like to play centre midfield. No.
So you'll relive your life, and you won't break your collarbone, and you'll play for Arsenal.
100%. I just don't know what they're going to do with Declan Rice, because if I'm in position, if I'm
it's going to squeeze Deck out.
I'm going to squeeze Declan out. Little does he know, 105 million. I want my family I want my family to be there, and everyone to show my family how much of an impact we've had, together, and support my family.
Nice.
What, do you say
Not
that?
financially, just
No,
be there.
Just
be
stories
there.
and
yeah,
I'm suggesting that your parents don't know what you do for other people.
I don't think anyone knows what I do for other people, right? I don't shout about. Yeah, I don't think so. I think that you don't hear me go out publicly and go, oh, I helped that person, and when that person was in need, I helped them, and I gave that much to charity, and I've done this. And you don't hear me do that, right? If other people want to talk about it, then fine. Then they're entitled to. Of course they are. But I just want to do a lot of good. I just like doing a lot of good. And I think that with a relatively large following and a pretty significant position in my industry, I feel a lot of responsibility. Yeah, I think there's a lot of eyeballs on us as a business, but on me in particular. And I feel that there's a lot of responsibility on my shoulders to push the industry forward in the right way.
That pressure?
Probably a little bit, but I put more pressure on myself than other people put on me. Yeah, which I think is healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
So I had a funny circumstance actually recently, right? A couple of years ago, Alex might remember this, but someone challenged us as a business as to whether or not we were supporting a charity or not.
Mm-hmm.
And the principal of the charity said, hey, called me up and said, hey, you know, I've been told that you've been talking about the charity, but you haven't been supporting it. And I said, that's not true. I said, that's absolutely not true. And he said, well, you know, this is what we've been told by someone else in charity. So I said, hold on, wait 1 second. I spoke to Zara and I said, have we done our bit for charity? I won't say how much or whatever. And she said, yeah, absolutely. And she showed me. And then I called the guy up and I said, look, we've done it. But really, it's of no business of the other person who's involved with the charity, is it really? And I just think that sometimes people focus way too much on other people, right? And I think it's our responsibility to do our piece for everybody.
Yeah.
I think as well, if you don't mind me saying, you know, there's a lot of people out there that will say you're arrogant and cocky and all this stuff, but I actually think it's the complete opposite. I don't think you shout about your successes or how much you help other people enough. So, for example, I think you should be very proud.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
It's
mad world
it
we
is
live
really
in.
interesting, and I really hope that there'll be people that will watch this podcast and listen to it, because there are people, you know, there's Instagram handles, Manny Maggers, Fanny Faggers, you know, all these. No, seriously, all these horrible.
I thought he was joking.
No, they are out there.
And our special guest, Manny.
Can you imagine if it was me?
And please welcome the man behind the Instagram page.
But my point is, joking aside, why aren't you more vocal about how much you help people and the good that you do?
Don't need to.
Why?
I let the people who benefit from it go and do great things. I really don't need to. I just I want to get my head down. I've always been this person that I just get my head down. I work really, really hard.
Well,
Right.
think about it. Like, imagine if you did that. Just one on your Instagram was like, I just did this, I just did that, I just did this, just did that.
You'd
and just
play
donated
into, you'd play into
this
what they're
much
saying.
money
Yeah.
to that
Yeah, but
charity.
I don't
Fake
think
as well.
I
You
don't
look
think
like a
that's but I don't think it's entirely fair. Like, my Instagram account for the past 8 years has been, how hard do I work?
Mm-hmm.
Right, I work hard for my clients. Right, I love what I do, and I work super hard for my clients. And I genuinely think that attention to detail is 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. My Instagram account isn't me bragging about transactions, right, and commitments and stuff like that. It's not really been about that. I see my account as helping future leaders of our industry recognize that actually it's a slog.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
What is your biggest regret?
When did you start out?
I was going to say walking in 45 minutes ago. My biggest regret. I don't recall my biggest regret.
Think about it. We've got time.
I find that hard to believe.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I think there was a. Let me just think. My biggest regret. Probably not training hard enough.
For football or this
Yeah.
job?
Yeah, but you had an injury. Training.
Maybe not. Maybe I could
All
have
right,
trained harder.
next question.
Probably.
I was
don't know.
expecting
Sorry,
something
boring.
totally
Yeah.
different.
What were you expecting?
I don't know. Something
Tell
like,
me.
oh,
Are you
Tell
talking
me.
work related,
I
personal
didn't
related?
call this guy, and then someone else showed him the house, and then did
Oh
the deal
no!
instead.
That's I mean, that's not something that you'll regret for the rest of your life.
Okay. Would you say you're lucky?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
You sold how much real estate now?
But I make my luck
Yeah.
a lot. I've sold a lot. Do I think 5 billion? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dollars. Do I think I've been lucky? I think I've made a lot of luck. Created a lot of luck. I think sometimes you can get lucky. Like you pick up the phone, but then you were the first to pick up the phone. So you were at your desk and then you picked up the phone before everyone else. So is that luck?
No, you created your own luck.
So is that luck? I don't know. So I would train at picking up the phone quickly.
How do you train for that?
Well, I'd be at my desk and I'd make
Saturday
sure.
night at home
No,
in
no,
your flat.
Go like this. mate.
No, like a cowboy. When you're sat at your desk, some people put the phone really far away from them.
Yeah.
Right, and then they bring the keyboard close to them, and then their computer,
Yeah, right.
whatever
To be fair,
it
when I
is.
was
Right?
at CVR,
I did.
Now
All
you're
of my
mid-
stuff was
Now
like,
you're,
yeah,
I mean, like
yeah,
this,
yeah,
is,
same
this,
here.
is, this is
And I'm
basic
left-handed,
agency.
so I moved
You're
it.
asking me when I was younger. This is basic agency. When the phone cut, when there's a phone call, well, that's my lead.
Yeah.
So what? So now I'm going to have to lean forward, grab the phone, hopefully catch it before someone else has got it right next to them, where they go like this.
Yeah.
Like that's how lucky estate agents are.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And I just don't believe in that. Yeah.
Okay. What's the hardest deal you've ever worked on?
Well, I'm doing one at the moment, which is an absolute nightmare.
Is it the one abroad?
No, that's super hard as well. Yeah, doing deals abroad is really difficult because you have to navigate personalities and culture, different structure of the industry. Then you've got language is an issue, and loads of other things that you need to think about whilst you're structuring a transaction. So that's super complicated, really, really, really complicated.
And so, talking about difficult transactions,
Yeah.
as we all know, a lot of super prime and prime sales take place with a third-party introducer.
Yeah.
Let's say, and I'll use Buckingham Palace as the best example because I think perhaps it's the most prized real estate in London.
Yeah.
If you could pick, you're representing the seller. If you could pick an agent on the other side to represent the buyer, who would you pick? Which agent?
Someone at DDRE Global, obviously.
External to the business.
No, I think the question you're asking me is like, who do I really respect in the industry? No? Is that the question?
Yeah, who would you want to go into a transaction that you know that's going to get the deal done?
Yeah,
and
so
is a good agent that we'd want to represent the buyer.
I think there's some amazing agents in the UK. Just people don't know about them because the industry is structured in a certain way. People don't know about them.
Anyone in particular you want to give a shout out to?
Depends in regions, in locations. I think Ian Green is a very good agent in northwest London. There are agents in central London that are very good, but you might not choose to do business with them. I won't name names. If it's positive, I will. If it's negative, I won't. I'm intrigued to see how the new age agents are going to step into this market and realize that the likelihood of them doing a deal between buyer and seller is getting so small that there's a new skill, which is how do I communicate with another advisor, keep them on board, but have a good relationship with them whilst getting what I want from my client. That's a totally different skill set. And I think that that's probably the hardest thing for everyone to manage now. Yeah, because the agents previously, you've been taught was that agents are your enemies.
Yeah.
Except now,
Yep.
Yeah,
they
your
can
friend,
be
your
they
money,
can,
money makers.
And who
they
do
can
all the
make you
agents
money,
call?
right?
100%.
But
You
there
just-
are agents that you touched on. You're not going to name names, but there are agents that you don't like working with.
There are agents that I think make life difficult in a transaction because maybe their emotions get the better of them, or maybe they have an ulterior motive, or like just other circumstances. Really, when you're acting on behalf of somebody, your emotions, your best interests have to be to one side, and you have to look after your client, right? So I think there's an element of maturity that's required for that,
Yeah.
but we'll soon find out, won't we? You know,
And
it's not easy.
Since starting DDRE, what's your biggest regret, or something that looking back you'd go, I'd do that slightly differently? Like, we are Three Intrapaneurs. We have a business within a business, and obviously, you know, and so it'd be interesting to find out.
I think Alex coming on board. No,
Oh, this again.
no.
It's the third time that's been
This must be true.
No, I'll tell you. I think I undervalued the relationship managers have with businesses, and I think I probably bit off too much. I think I moved out the corporate world, and because of how I did that, I felt that for whatever reason I needed to prove something, and so I bit off too much, and I started building Daggers real estate, which was hard as it is because it was COVID. Then we converted it into DDRE Global, which was hard. At the same time, we were building a training program with two young ladies who've never been in the industry before, and I wanted their support, but also I wanted to help them and shape them and then let them grow. Then I was bringing people into the business, finding office space and setting up ADVSR. I did too much.
Yeah.
especially from a standing start. 6 months non-compete, and then COVID and working from your desk, from your dining table. It's tricky.
Yeah.
That was tricky. So probably my regret would be, probably for the first time in a long time, emotions got the better of me.
Yeah.
And I felt like I wanted to go and eat the world.
Yeah.
I think we did a great job.
Yeah.
Because we've enticed some amazing
what
people.
I'm shocked
Yeah.
you said. That's why I'm shocked you said that's your regret, because you have done an amazing job.
We've done an amazing job, but
Well,
it's a
I have.
sacrifice to other things. Yes, you've done an amazing job.
We,
You come on Leaps and Bounds, by the way. You'll get a gold star.
Thank
Stick
you.
it on your fridge.
That's why I'm here. The gold stars.
Pat him on the shoulder.
Him on the
Thank
shoulder.
you.
Well done, Anne.
Thank you.
But do you feel like now you've proven? You said earlier that
I
you
don't
feel
think
like
it's a-
you had something to prove.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've done that yet?
I
or-
think we have definitely done that.
Yeah.
I think we have built a significant business. I was told by somebody yesterday that that DDRE Global and Daniel Daggers, there is some sort of league table as to who has influence at the top end of the market. And both DDRE Global and Daniel Daggers are in position 10 and 11.
Wow.
Right, there's no businesses that have had that sort of rapid acceleration
years. Yeah.
to the
That's
top
insane.
end of the market, and so
That is
I'm very
amazing.
proud, very super proud of that. But then I asked myself, well, actually, if I had that moment again, would I put the training program on pause, or would I put ADVSR on pause, or would I be braver by investing in getting senior people to build those businesses out for me?
What's that answer?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't think you could do that though. I don't think you could, if you don't mind me saying, release that much control or authority to someone.
I don't know. I don't mean like, go and build it, see you later. Like Elliot's done an amazing job with ADVSR, but I'm still the principal of that business. I just give him a lot of rope because I think he's capable of doing it, right? And I think that you have to enable people to do what they're good at. So, I'm not in everyone's pocket asking them every day what they're doing, but I will chase up with people. And I have to, if I'm building a business, I have to give you a responsibility. I have to trust you with the responsibility to go and do what you need to do and feel empowered by it, but know that there's someone behind you who's going to push you and pull you back, right? When you need it, because you're all young, you're still, relatively young.
Daniel, the business has gone from 2 people to 3 and now to 24. Is it 25 people?
I'm pleased you can count.
Yep, just about, in 3.5 or so years. Do you ever get imposter syndrome?
It's got nothing to do with the business. Everyone suffers with, most people suffer with imposter syndrome. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, everyone will think, do I deserve to be here? But by the virtue of the fact that you are there means you deserve to be there, right? So I think that if you have an attitude where you want to be successful, you need to always place yourself in a position where you feel a bit uncomfortable and question whether or not you deserve to be there, because that means that you're growing.
Yeah.
True.
And if you feel too comfortable, it means that you're static and you're staying still, if not too far away from where growth will be. So you
Good way.
always need to feel uncomfortable,
And
Good way of putting
so
it.
obviously with
especially when the room's too hot.
yeah.
It is
And
very
obviously
hot
so
in here.
with when you left, under
Uncircumcised.
uncertain
Uncircumcised.
It's almost like a podcast,
We're getting onto
Benji.
religion.
uncertain circumstances at Night Frank. It was potentially, and I know you can't talk too much about it under NDA, but I would say it was a bitter ending. I don't think they treated you right. Would you say you're building your own business, which is challenging the model of the standard corporate agency? You've got something to prove to the people that stuck a few knives in your back?
I don't know if people stuck a few
Well,
knives in
I'm
my
saying
back.
they did.
Okay.
So I'm not under NDA.
Okay.
Whoa.
Oh,
Wow.
How did
Guns
you get here?
blazing.
That
Would you
escalated
say
quickly.
you have something to prove?
I think we've done a lot of the proving already. Yeah, I think that facts would be turnover, income, or trust our clients put in us to sell very expensive homes, size of team, office space, influence. That proves our value.
Happiness of staff?
Yeah, partially happiness of staff. I mean, like, estate agents are never always happy. No. It's really simple. Estate agents are the following people. You ready? I did a deal. I'm as happy as a pig in what's it called? I haven't done a deal for a little while. I'm sad. I need to change my underwear and look at the tie that I'm wearing.
That's
Okay?
actually a very valid point that you raise.
Agents aren't always happy. That's madness.
Yeah.
It's not their role. Their role is to manage their happiness. Yeah?
Do the thing.
You want me to do the thing?
Do the thing. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
No, we work with someone, and I remember you
it's
saying
not it's not somebody. It's everybody. Everybody is like this. Some people just their fluctuation of emotion are far greater than others, and you have to manage your emotion. There was something about I read something or watched something where the person who succeeds the most is the person who controls their impulse. Right. So if someone says something not nice to me, and I come back at them immediately, they own me. I've lost that opportunity. Yeah.
they control you.
Well, yeah, exactly. They control you. So what I did with the team, with everybody, is this was I'm as high as a kite because I've just done a great deal. So now I'm going to go out party and spray champagne and buy myself a Lamborghini and an expensive watch. And then because I get so high on my supply, then all of a sudden my lows are so low that I find it really hard to get motivated to come back up again. Right? So that is someone who I wouldn't trust in doing business for me because it means they're dictated by their emotions.
Yeah.
And we have to recognize that we are emotional beings, right? And that's a great thing because without it, how do you live? Plus, you don't know what's good unless you know what's bad, right? If I gave you the same meal every day, you wouldn't appreciate that meal. You have to know the differences to understand what you really like. But I much prefer people that appreciate the highs and understand their lows, to appreciate their highs, to understand their lows. And what you'll find is that if this is your journey, if this is your journey in your life, someone who does this, if you take that as a piece of string, someone who does this with their emotions, that piece of string is very long, but they don't get very far because their emotions are like this. They spend so much time thinking about problems and highs and lows. But someone who is considered and thoughtful, that piece of string now is very long because their career is going to go far. And that's how I look at
talking about deals. There's a thing about salespeople having or should celebrate their wins. Okay? Keeps them going.
I did that to you, didn't I?
You did, yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I thought about that too, but we'll talk about that another time. What's your way of celebrating deals? How should someone celebrate deals as an agent in our position or in the industry?
Okay. Do you want the boring answer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Think about every circumstance that deal went through and remember it and understand it. Because you'll use those skills for all the other deals that you do moving forward.
But how do you celebrate?
How do you celebrate?
Yeah.
You go out for dinner.
Is that what you do? So tell us.
Go out for dinner. Okay, so one thing that I've realized is that when you come from a very humble beginning, you don't know about what you could do if you had money spare. You don't. I never knew about Ubers and or private vehicles, where you get a driver and a private jet and nice watches and holiday. I knew nothing about that. So I was limited with my view as to how am I going, I've just made X £5,000. How am I going to go and spend that? I had no idea. Well, I wanted to put a subwoofer in the back of my Vauxhall Corsa. That's what I wanted.
I should remember those.
Now, if you ask me how do I celebrate my success now, is I love to travel well, right? So in a car or in a plane, like in a nice seat, and I like to holiday well. Yeah, so nice hotels and places like that. That's how I enjoy it.
Yep. Nice.
That's how I enjoy it. I made a mistake where I broke up with a girlfriend and I thought I'd pleasure myself. Don't take this the wrong way. And I would get
definitely going on the 60
No,
seconds.
don't do that. Definitely don't do
I
that.
pleasured myself.
No, I knew that was wrong. See, that's it. See, if I can't trust you guys...
I broke up with an ex-girlfriend and I pleasured myself.
And then we'll
wrong,
get
isn't
the
it?
private jet picking as well. So
That's
much
so
fun.
wrong.
Your mouth.
Should we ask the regret
That's so
question
wrong.
again?
That's so wrong.
I regret
Anyway,
that.
I bought myself a very expensive watch.
Yeah.
And after 3 days, I regretted it. So...
What did you do with the watch? What did you do? With
It was
the
in storage, and then
Storage.
I had it hidden somewhere.
Okay.
And then, do you want to know where? You want my bank details as well? And then I sold it. Thankfully, I made a little bit of a profit, but I won't be doing that again.
Okay.
When I first met Alex, he was Louis Vuittoned up. He had
Prada.
You don't mind me saying this?
No, go for it.
Alex was skint. He had no money, so he had all the flash gear. He had a nice watch and the Louis Vuitton bag for weekends, the Louis Vuitton briefcase and the this and the that. And what was the first thing I said to you?
Sell all of it.
Clear your credit card debt. Sell all of it, start fresh. No one cares about your Louis Vuitton bag. And if they do, they're not the kind of person you really want around you.
100%.
Because it means they value the stuff that you have, not the person that you are.
Yeah.
100%. Couldn't agree with you more.
Did you sell it?
Whacked it on eBay,
Yeah, I
didn't you?
whacked it on eBay. I remember sending you the listing. And then
He wants me to buy it.
They made a fake account and he bought his stuff back.
Let's not speak about me. So we've got some big plans. We've got 2 more questions, by the way. We've got some big plans in the coming months, which I don't think any of us can speak about. We're under NDA. I think we all know what we're talking about. Is there anything you can say about it legally?
No.
Okay, skip. I didn't think so. Where do you see the future of DDRE Global?
I see it as an even more influential business, with more trust from clients, with more people.
Yeah.
Making a lot of customers very happy because our agents are very successful,
Thank you.
we've enabled them
I am.
and supported them to be very successful.
But if they're not though, like Benji, would you sack them, do you reckon?
No, Benji can always carry your bag for you. You
True.
a Vuitton bag for you and stuff
I
like
do
that.
that anyway. So what's changing?
That's
Okay.
where I see it, and it could be, in different parts of the world.
Okay. I didn't ask this question before, but since we have 2 more minutes left,
Mm-hmm.
you're not a very emotional person. We've never really been emotional. Well, I've been emotional with you, but whatever. Have you ever...
Have I ever cried?
Yeah. Have you ever cried at work?
When was the last
And
time
if
you
so,
cried? When was the last time you cried?
What happened?
Tell us.
Okay, right, hold on. There's
Do
a
you
number
bleed?
One of you at a time.
Do you bleed?
So to us, you're kind of like...
when I cry, there's black tears.
There's a reason why we asked that.
Have I cried at work? No. Nothing that happens at work is worth crying about.
Wow.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Your health. Your
I
family.
never thought you would say that.
It's true.
But would you go home and cry? You're saying at work you've never cried.
No, I don't go home and cry about stuff about work. I get upset about stuff about work. But I don't think there's any... I really genuinely don't think that there's any reason why I should cry about work. Like, you guys are younger than me. You've been doing it for 10 years, 15 years, 8 years, whatever it may be. Like, there are certain moments that are new to you. So it feels very impactful for you. Once you've done it 3 or 4 times, you know what happens afterwards, which is you get up and you go again, right? Yeah. And so don't cry about work. And in fact, if you did cry at work, I would be tough with you. I would be tough with you. Like, I would console you, but I would be tough with you.
Do you think that's how you'd be with your son in the future?
100%.
Or daughter.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think that if you don't teach your kids skills on how to deal with rejection and how to deal with discomfort and how to deal with things in life that you inevitably come across, and how they handle their emotions, because it's foreign to them, I think that you are
pandering to them.
Pardon?
Yeah. Pandering to them, yeah.
Yeah, I think that you are then doing them a disservice.
Was your father like that to you?
Oh, my dad's like a teddy bear. My dad's lovely and fun.
Your mum was like that.
Really?
Too.
My mum's tough. Yeah, my mum's super tough. Yeah.
My dad was tough.
Yeah, but that's good though. It's good. It's super good. If you look at the kids that are brought up, if every difficult circumstance you come across in life, it shuts you down, it's because you haven't come across difficult circumstances that you've been able to pass. And the sooner your children realise and the agents realise that that's not good for you and you need to be able to get over these humps, the quicker people grow. Yeah.
I think we might have to do a part 2 because we could chat to you all day and ask so many questions.
I don't really want that. Rather you were out there.
We'll charge you next time though for the
He'll charge
platform.
us.
I'm going to charge you guys.
That was the joke. Do you guys have any further questions before I wrap this up?
I don't have any other questions, and I hope I'm not going to steal your next line, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for coming on the podcast, but for everything you do for us. Genuinely.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. I'm very proud of you guys for doing this.
Where's the tissues? Sorry, what's that?
Absolute pioneers in our industry doing this. I don't know how many other agents do this. I think that it shows elements of bravery. It shows elements of teamwork. It shows elements of charisma. And I think that you should all be really proud of yourselves. Everyone in the business is proud of you guys for doing this. And I hope that it is phenomenally successful for you. and a great way for you to speak to an audience that I'm sure are going to be really interested to watch you guys grow in the industry and be phenomenally successful, and then be mini super primers.
Thanks, man.
But I mean it.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, genuinely, I think I'd love to do a part 2 in the future. Maybe, when we, after many more podcasts. Orcs. Yeah, because that was great. Thank you,
Yeah,
Daniel. We
amazing.
really
Thank you,
appreciate you.
yeah.
Thank
All
you.
Yeah, we love you, man.
That's the end of episode, was it 7 now?
Yep.
Yeah.
7.
Episode 7. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to pay the fee, and we will see you on episode 8.
By the way, just so you know, I don't like this whole pay the fee bit. I think it's more like we would really appreciate it as about paying a fee, right?
No, you got to pay the fee.
Got to pay the fee.
You have to pay the fee.
And
You
where
have to pay a fee.
Like-
You may say
share.
that it's your clients, but like,
and where can we find everyone? Where can we find us on our social handles?
I think
Oliver.Ingalls.
Alex_Ivagora.
Benji.Weinberger.
Daniel_Daggers.
Manny.
Great.
Cool. Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
to the jingle.
To the jingle.
Jingle.